Welcome into the Triple F podcast. I'm Bob Johnson. Thanks for joining us. It's been a bit since we've talked with you. The season ended with Dort back in November, and then, of course, the holidays hit, which always is an awkward time. But now, as we're into 2024, it's time to start anew and talk with head coach Nick Davis of your Ottawa University Braves football team. Coach, thank you for taking time out as it is a busy time of the year for you.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. We're busy with some recruiting, but definitely always make some time to talk to the legend, Bob Johnson.
Well, those are words. I would never refer to myself as that. I could tell you that right now, but thank you. I guess that should be the proper thing, is to say thank you. So let's walk through everything. The playoff game in Dort obviously didn't go the way everybody wanted to go, but I think it was a good step forward for this program. And even though things didn't end in that positive way, were you all able to find ways to take some positives and to maybe use some things for growth for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I think the guys just got back on campus on Sunday, and we've been snowed out really. So we're gonna have a team meeting this week to kind of get together and talk about what do we want to get accomplished here in 2024. But when you go back as the coach and you review the film, I think we had definitely opportunities. We scored a touchdown, but it got called back for defensive pass interference. We dropped a touchdown in the end zone, and we lost out on another opportunity where it was fourth down, and we thought, probably defensive pass interference in the end zone on another possession. So, if those things go a different direction, we're looking at a 28-35 ball game. They did a really nice job in this after really the first three possessions of getting after our defense and made some adjustments. So I don't know if we would have ever won the football game, but I definitely think that we could have been on pace, to make it more interesting. And a lot of people, coaches in the area, commented that it was a lot closer of a football game than 35-7. So it kind of happened for me in my first playoff game at Rose-Hulman. We end up losing to North Central 42-7 in the first round of the playoff game. But you look back, and it was just situationally that they were really good on third down, and I think that's what Dort was offensively, picking up first downs, and in the red zone they were really efficient. And we weren't great on third down, and we weren't great once we got the ball across and scoring position. So I definitely think that was the story of the game. We were able to put up the second most yards against them all season, and that was a very good defense. In fact, they ended up we put up more yards than Northwestern Iowa did against them, who finished second in the country, and they played them twice. So I thought from an offensive output, we did a really good job, and early on defensively, we did a good job. So I think our players just understand. Once we beat Kansas Wesleyan and won our conference championship, I think a lot of the guys, their goal was to win the KCAC championship, and they did. And it kind of shows with our last two performances where, I thought we played hard, but we just didn't execute, and maybe a lack of focus in our last two ball games that we lost.
I also think that maybe there are some who didn't realize or didn't know how banged up this team was, especially going into the final game of the regular season and the game with Dort. And of course, no names are going to be mentioned or anything along those lines, but there were a lot of people that were being held together by duct tape and baling wire.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's probably in that situation, and generally the teams that go on and win a championship or win a national championship are, super deep, within their roster, and created that depth. And I think there's a little bit of luck with the injury bug, but Danny Sanchez missed the Tabor game, and we thought that there was a chance he could get back for the playoff game, and he did, so that was great. But at one point at Tabor, our backup center was playing right tackle, and our backup left guard was playing right guard, and our two starting tackles were out. So, and our starting right guard was playing left tackle. So, definitely, for the Tabor week, we were pretty banged up. Got a few guys healthy, but still, definitely, Kyle Reynolds, man, he's a hero. Like, he ended up having some big time medical issues in the Dort game. Got hurt in the first half and they had to stop in the emergency room. And thank goodness he's okay and he's healthy, and he's actually getting ready training for his next professional opportunity. So when one of your leaders on defense goes out and a bunch of your offensive linemen are banged up, we were pretty fortunate, I think, to get through as many games as we did.
A lot of positives to be taken from the season as a whole. And I know that throughout the season that we had talked about, if you were able to get through, the first half of the season and get into that second half where the games counted, not that you didn't want to win every game, but you guys knew going forward that the divisional play was going to be where it was at. Did you, and I know that you felt like that there was a good opportunity for things to fall the right way, but in year two of you being the head coach, did you expect to be in this position to be a division conference champ and go to the playoffs?
Yeah, and 1-4, you really don't think that you're gonna win a championship necessarily. I knew we had a good path, obviously, because of the divisional play. I think our team definitely believed in it because you could see, after the Bethany game, they realized where we were, where everybody else were, and they knew if we could, win our first three games, it was going to set up a showdown against Kansas Wesleyan, who we played competitive against really the last um, 2 seasons, 3 years that I've been here. We played competitive against those guys. So I think the team understood. Obviously we're disappointed with how we started things, and but they definitely understood if we could win these three games to open up for divisional play, that we gave ourselves a chance to beat Kansas Wesleyan. And what I thought was pretty cool is every team in the Bissell division had beat us the year before, and we were able to beat 4 of the 5 teams this year to win the championship.
And that is impressive in that sense. When you took over the helm as the head coach, did you have any sort of plan in place as to here's where I want to be at the end of year one, here's where I want to be at the end of year two, and so on? And would you say that you're ahead of schedule, or are you right where you think you would be?
And definitely not a plan. We always talked about, we knew what it was going to look like to get a roster, to be able to compete for a championship. And obviously the divisions help, because if there wasn't divisions, we wouldn't have gone to the playoffs, and we wouldn't have won our championship. So it definitely helped that Evangel joined our conference, and we are able to go divisional play, which I do think is a different mindset. The first 6 games in a way do not count. So you can kind of figure out with a young team, which we've been really the last 3 years, is a young team and new coordinators across the board really for the last 3 years, is with that young team, you can figure out what you're good at. And I think we did probably a pretty good job, and probably the best in our division, of figuring out, okay, here's what we're good at. Here's what we're not good at. And let's continue to get better, and understanding that at the end of the day, if we could beat Sterling, St. Mary's, Avila, that we could set up a showdown with Kansas Wesleyan. And we knew that, potentially if we played well, that we'd have a chance to win that football game.
Of course, it helped to not have the or it helped you guys that you guys had a lack of embarrassing photos on social media going into that game with Kansas Wesleyan. Because They laid out plenty of bulletin board material, and guys took advantage of it, and it didn't seem to go over well in Coyote Country, and for that we're all excited about.
Well, it's definitely been a rivalry game that hasn't been much of a rivalry, with them dominating really almost, again, the game's been close, but they had won 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 and 22. So, every one of those players on the roster, I think all their coaches and their coaching staff, all they knew was beating Ottawa University. All our players knew was losing to those guys. Besides, Blake Mudd and Clarence Anderson on our staff and myself. So, we just told the guys, hey, we've been here. All right, trust us. And if we get in the fourth quarter, we'll have an opportunity to win the football game. If we keep things close. And that was the pretty cool thing that, obviously that happened.
Season's over, and had a little bit of a break. Probably not much of a break, other than for the holidays. You guys have been hitting the pavement pretty hard with recruiting, and looks like that work is paying off for you guys. It seems like every day there's a post about the exciting commits for Ottawa University for the upcoming year.
Yeah, we're sitting at 14, actually, excuse me, 13 freshman commits right now. We were able to bring in 5 guys for the mid-year so far, and potentially a few other guys. Ottawa does a spring 1 and spring 2 semester. So we have about 8 more weeks to potentially get some spring 2 recruits on campus. And, we had about 25 guys visit in December, and we've had about, 25 guys visit so far here in January. And we got about, anywhere from 60 to 80 more scheduled up into signing day, and then we have a few visits after February 7th, and for additional recruits. But it's just been a really good time to spend with our staff, and it's definitely we get to know our staff a little bit better doing these recruiting events. The recruits get to know our staff, and what I think is unique is the recruits get to know each other. We do small visits. The biggest visit we have is 12 student athletes, and we've had visits as small as 1 or 2. So it's given us a great opportunity to showcase our campus. I think we have one of the best campuses in Kansas with our facilities, not only for football but for athletics in general. And some of our academic facilities are phenomenal. So it's been a pretty exciting time, and we're about halfway through our visits, and we'll end up hopefully signing a class around 30 to 40, and we'll be able to release that on signing day.
How much has it helped with the success from this last season and with winning the division and such? Have you found it easier to pull in recruits?
I think definitely, and I think I'm a great example of that. When I was a college or a prospective college student, I only looked at schools within my area that had winning records, over the last 3 years. So, if I was, I guess, a recruit looking, I would have wrote Ottawa off Ottawa off because of the 2-8 season 2 years ago. But I think definitely young men are more interested in going to a place that's winning. And I think when you see, okay, this head coach went 2-8 in his first year, and his second year, they won their conference championship and went to the playoffs for the first time since 2014. I think that's the big point that's getting across. Not necessarily maybe how our record finished, but the fact that, hey, these guys won 2 games, and in the second year, they did things that hasn't been done in programs since 2014 by going to the playoffs, beating ranked opponents, beating Kansas Wesleyan. So, running the football phenomenally for the second most rushing yards in school history. So I think those are the things the recruits, when they come to visit, we capture like what can we do in 4 years now, guys? Like in year two, this is what our team was able to accomplish. And that was coming off a 2-8 year. So what can we do when we've already gone to the playoffs and we've seen what that takes?
You talk about incoming freshmen. Do you look at any other possible at going after some transfer, JUCO, portal, any of those as you get ready for next season, or do you want to bring in somebody straight from high school, or just a mixture of both?
Yeah, the atmosphere with transfers in the last few years is shaking stuff up. In terms of mid-year transfers, you know, the the Division Two guys are waiting for that big time offer. So none of those guys really want to pull a trigger. The junior college guys, all say they want to come at the mid year, but I think they only want to go to a Division One school at the mid year. So a lot of those guys had interest um, early on, and then have yet to sign anywhere. So and shoot, almost all these schools are getting ready to start. So you know for us, we are been built with high school recruits the last few years, and we find a few, great transfer recruits. But for us, it's just the process, and we spell it out for every young man that we recruit, whether they're a transfer or high school kid, and tell them here are the steps that you need to complete. And for us, we've had more success with our high school athletes that we're recruiting, following in those steps that we want to complete. And sometimes the transfers don't want to, you know, do what we ask them to do. So essentially, as a head coach, my philosophy, if we ask somebody to do something, they don't do it, maybe we do not want them on our team. And if we have to baby them through the whole entire process, are we going to have to baby them at Ottawa University? So for us, I do think, we're going to recruit the kids that when we ask them to do something, they're going to do it. And those are the guys that we want to be around. And, at least over the last 2 years, generally those have been high school players and some key transfers. And we've had a lot of key transfers be big time players for us. But, for us, it doesn't matter if they're 18 years old or 24. If they're a good football player and we ask them, to get something accomplished and get something complete for us and they do it, then we want them on our team.
Do you have a specific uh, idea of how you want the recruiting to go? Are you looking, are you looking to replace pieces that are going to be are leaving because of senior year or transferring, or do you guys go out and just look for the best athletes available and try to put it together that way?
Yeah, I think each year you try to recruit a starting lineup that when in 4 years, you have 22 first team all conference ACAC players. That's obviously the vision. And will we get that accomplished? No. But, you hope that, hey, in 4 years, you got a majority of your guys are seniors. They're starting for you. And the big time guys are, recognized within our conferences, all conference players. So that's kind of our philosophy. We're going into it and I'm recruiting 5 starting offense linemen and, with the talent and some backups, obviously. And they'll come in and it's up to me to make sure the guys we currently have don't let those freshmen beat them up. I think that's how you can create that depth that when a guy goes down, like Kyle Reynolds, the next guy steps up because you've, you know, constantly for 4 straight years recruited starting players in each position. So I think that's unique in NAI football. At the Division One level, you have only 83 scholarships, so you only have really 83 phenomenal football players on your team. So you can't necessarily recruit um, 22 starters every year. And thing at the NAI level, then you can try to get that accomplished more than maybe any level else in college football.
Is there a specific position that you're looking for or right now to fill?
Yeah, obviously you're looking at we lose a lot of production there with Billy Maples and with Austin Zavala graduating and Dakota Lynn, finishing up his football career. So we lost a lot of production at the quarterback position. So we have some good options, but figuring out okay, what are we going to do there? We lost three really good running backs that had a phenomenal year, and figuring out okay, who's going to step up into that role. And we think we have players in place at the quarterback and the running back position. We had a lot of talented freshmen wide receivers. Both of our tight ends come back. Potentially, we could bring back the whole entire starting offensive line. We're still waiting on some guys to, see if they're going to be able to get into graduate school. And then defensive line wise, we bring a majority of those guys back. And linebacker, we lose Samad Ali, which is going to be a tough guy, but we feel like we have good young players to replace him. I think the secondary is going to be the toughest one, just with Kevin Wade has played a lot of football for us and Kyle Reynolds, but we have some good young guys that haven't got an opportunity to play very much. So we're definitely excited and, definitely bringing in a bunch of young guys at the O-line position, the D-line position, the DB position. And, maybe we'll secure, either another one or two good freshmen or a transfer running back to run behind, a veteran offensive line. But we feel like we're in a really good position across the board.
That was the coaching convention.
Yeah, that was a good time. So the American Football Coaches Association asked me to speak. So it was 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, and I thought there was going to be about 7 people there, but there was 150 people that showed up. So I think that was an awesome thing for, the NAI, having an NAI representation there with a speaker. Awesome, for Ottawa University to be represented there, which I think was pretty cool. And my first opportunity to speak really in front of a huge group at the American Football Coaches Association, which is kind of the number one organization in our profession, was a great time. And then I was able to speak with this year's class of the 35 best coaches under the age of 35. I was able to do that last year. That's more of a closed talking event, but get to know some of those guys and share my experiences of what to do and what not to do as a head coach. I think super valuable for those young coaches as they're trying to continue their career, and then just catch up with old Ottawa alums like Julian Mendez and Thomas Pearson, and obviously Brett Beechner, and several guys, Calvin Davenport, but several other guys I'm probably forgetting here. I know Coach Anderson got a chance to see Coach Middleton there at Kansas State. So there is several Ottawa University coaches out there in the country. Wes Coombs is another guy, but too many really to probably I'm forgetting. I know Jordan Dodge is out there coaching, Jarrell Corbett and or Jarrell Taylor and Devontae Corbett at Avila. So I think there is a great representation of Ottawa University out there coaching college football, and there's several guys coaching high school football too, which is awesome.
Real quick, because we are running down on time. Best food that you had during the convention? We can't have a podcast without food.
You're kind of in a tourist trap there when you're in Nashville. So the Outlet Mall was the quick walk to go to the food court. So definitely don't want to admit that we ate Chili's and Fridays and on consecutive lunches. But we were able on one of the last nights to get out to Prince's Chicken, which is a Nashville hot chicken place actually across from their hockey arena. And half the coaching staff went to the hockey game. And I got mild Nashville hot chicken and I was sweating. And 2 of the coaches got hot. And I got medium and I was sweating. 2 of the coaches got hot and they were really sweating. And Coach Anderson doesn't like spice and he got mild and he was sweating from the mild Nashville hot chicken. So definitely Nashville hot chicken shout out Prince's there across from the stadium. It's in a kind of a food court area, a nice food court. So that was the best food that we had there. Of course, we got done with our recruiting visit on Saturday, and I asked the staff, did they want to get fast food or did they want me to buy KC Joe's and Olathe on the way? And it was unanimous that. So we stopped at KC Joe's, and Coach Jones, our GA, got his first opportunity to have KC Joe's, and he said it was definitely a lot better than Arkansas barbecue.
Well, it doesn't take much. Joe's is a life-changing event.
Yeah, I told him he needed to go with the Z-Man. He went with the Pig Rocket. He at least made it, I think a pretty good choice. But you can never go wrong. I think everybody ordered a thing of French fries. So, there was about 100 potatoes that got diced so we could have French fries there from Joe's.
You can only win or tie at Joe's.
Yes.
Well, I think so we're going to wrap it up here. I'd like to try to get back with you maybe next month after everything gets announced as far as commitments go, and then kind of work out from there. Spring ball in March, and then next thing you know, we're getting ready for next fall.
Sounds good. We appreciate it. Thank you.
That is head coach Nick Davis here on the Triple F podcast. As we get a little bit of a talk about the end of the season and what's going on right now, and we'll talk again in the month of February. We'll have a little bit clearer picture of the recruits and and get you ready for spring and some of the important dates coming up then. But again, for head coach Nick Davis, I thank him for always taking time out. I'm Bob Johnson. Thanks for listening to us on the Triple F podcast.